Hey friends, it's Natalia and welcome back to She Makes 31. Cook along with me in today's video for 3 simple and delicious family style dinners. These meals are in our dinner meal rotation and are kid friendly and family approved. The first thing I will be making today is some easy homemade lasagna. I will be posting the links to all of the recipes in today's video. I modified this recipe, so I'll show you kind of what I did that was different. I split this 2.5 pound package of ground beef in half. I froze the other half to use later. Here I am browning the beef, and you could also use sausage in this. I just like the beef better. So you want to drain it after you've cooked it of any fat, and then we will be adding some onion and garlic. Thank you for joining me for today's video. I'm Natalia. I am a mom and a wife. I have 3 boys, ages 11, 7, and 3. We live in South Florida, and I love making videos about all things home and family, and that includes cooking meals for your family. So after I drained the ground beef, I went ahead and added my entire onion and some garlic. It was 2 cloves of garlic approximately. I did add a lot more of the Italian seasoning. It only calls for a teaspoon, but I really like to just season things more than what most recipes call for. I also added some salt and pepper and just continued to cook that. You could make your own sauce, but like I said, this is the easy style of lasagna. So a good old ragu works here. I usually buy the bigger jar because I ended up needing to use a jar and a half of sauce this time around. I also like to add a little bit of water in there and shake up whatever's left inside the jar, and that kind of helps add a little bit more to the sauce. I didn't have another jar of the ragu, so I used this tomato sauce from Aldi. We are a family of 5, and we actually had a friend over for dinner this night, and there was still leftovers for the next day. So this is an amazing meal that will give you a lot of food. The recipe calls for a couple of tablespoons of tomato paste. I also like to add a pinch of sugar whenever I use any kind of canned tomatoes, not tomato sauce that's already pre-made, but you know, your diced tomatoes and any kind of canned tomatoes in a sauce that will help with the acidity levels. And you can judge, you know, what you like your sauce to be like. I wanted mine to be a little bit thinner. I felt like that Aldi sauce was kind of thick, so I added some water. I should probably put an apron on. Thank God I don't have any stains on my shirt now, but when you're working with tomato sauce, get yourself your apron. All right, let's give it a little taste test. They were good. Oh yeah, this is good. I'm gonna go ahead and let this simmer for, I don't know, 5-10 minutes, something like that. While the sauce was simmering, it was time to make the cheese mixture. I used 2 of these containers of ricotta cheese, and I used the full fat version. I used 2 eggs instead of 1. Like I said, I used way more than what the recipe calls for, but I like to have a nice hefty lasagna. So 2 definitely did the trick. You add some fresh parsley or dried parsley like I did. You also want to add some of the Parmesan cheese, and it was about a half cup of the Parmesan cheese. You could use the fresh or the grated. You mix that all in, and then you also add some mozzarella cheese, about 4 cups. I had forgotten to do this and I didn't do it until the end. Here I am getting my oven ready lasagna noodles. This is the way to go, making it quick and easy. I don't have time or patience to boil all the noodles. So you put about a cup of the tomato sauce at the bottom of a 9x13 dish, and then you put some of your lasagna noodles, and then you layer it with the cheese mixture. You kind of just put little dollops around and spread it, and you just keep on repeating this process basically until you run out of pasta. So I normally use the shredded mozzarella to top off the lasagna, but this time I got some slices because I wanted to cover every single little square inch of the top of the lasagna because we love cheese here. So I think it worked out pretty good. I broke up whatever pieces to fill in, little cracks and nooks and crannies. But yeah, you want to put this in the oven at 350 for 45 minutes, and you cover it with foil. You then remove the foil and bake it for another 15 minutes, and then broil it for 2 to 3 minutes to get it all brown and bubbly. We served this with some garlic Texas toast and with a Caesar salad, and everybody loved it. Even our guests loved it. I think it's amazing. The next recipe today is some Carnitas Mexican pulled pork. Here's a list of all your ingredients. This is a really inexpensive meal. Meat nowadays has gone up in price so much, and this pork roast that I got was only $2.39 a pound at BJ's. This is a slow cooker meal, so it's something that you could just put on in the morning, and then by the evening you will have dinner ready. Now, as far as seasoning the roast, you use 3 tablespoons of sea salt or 2.5 of table salt. I will say I feel like it needs more. It was a little bit on the plainer side for me. You also want to use some teaspoon of dried oregano. Again, you can add more than this. You also want to add some garlic. I added about 5 garlic cloves. And then you also get 2 limes and put in all the juice from those, along with a half a cup of orange juice, 1 cup of chicken broth, and a couple of bay leaves. Bay leaves add so much flavor. I added about a tablespoon of ground black pepper. And here is some satisfying lime juice action. Love that my Instant Pot can also be used as a slow cooker. It does have that function, and it comes with a lid that already allows for that. You do want to put this on high for 5 hours. If you have an Instant Pot, make sure that you press the plus button so that you have the more option. So after this is all fully cooked, you want to go ahead and get a couple of forks and shred all of the pork. Then add a cup of the juice left over from the cooking and broil it for about 5 to 7 minutes. There are so many meals you can make with this pork: street tacos, nachos, burritos, even a salad. We decided to do tacos that night, and I got these little mini tortillas, made some, kind of like a pico with some red onion, cilantro, tomato, and some lime juice with a little bit of salt and pepper, and then you just serve it on these little tortillas, and everybody approved. With the leftover pork, we're going to move on to our next meal: BBQ Pork Sliders. Here are the ingredients that you will need. I ended up buying the party pack of the Hawaiian rolls because I had so much leftover pork, and we are a family of 5. The only thing I did change from the recipe was that I did not use Havarti cheese. I used provolone cheese. Here I'm making the garlic butter. It consists of a stick of butter, 4 cloves of garlic, some dried parsley. I made more than the recipe calls for, again, because I had more rolls. This is something that you're gonna brush over the tops of the rolls. Went ahead and sliced some red onion. I don't like it to be like really big pieces of onion because then my kids won't want to eat it, so I did make it smaller. And then I got my pork. You could also make this with chicken. I have used chicken in the past before, but you know, I'm using what I have. And so you also want to add some barbecue sauce. I added about 1.5 cups or so of barbecue sauce. Some Worcestershire sauce. It calls for a teaspoon, but of course I add more than that. And then some salt and pepper, and about 1/2 teaspoon or teaspoon of paprika, not the smoked kind, just the regular kind. I went ahead and cooked the onions until they looked a little bit translucent. After the onions were softened, I went ahead and added a couple of cloves of garlic. You then add the pork mixture to the pan. I got this straight out of the fridge, so it was cold. So I went ahead and mixed everything in and made sure everything was heated well. Next, you get your Hawaiian rolls. The King's Hawaiian rolls are the best in my opinion. But you want to go ahead and slice these in half. They are a little sticky from when you get them off the package, but you got to get a bread knife and run it through the center all the way around. I split these up into 2 9x13 dishes just because that's how they fit better, and it was double the recipe. I went ahead and got some cooking spray and put that on the pans, and now you're going to assemble your sandwiches. Like I said, the recipe calls for Havarti cheese, but I used provolone. I feel like this is a little bit more kid-friendly, but really you can use whatever cheese you'd like. If you want to make them a little spicy, you can use a little pepper jack, whatever you'd like. I like the fact that you can, customize it. You want to then layer the pork on top of the cheese. I ended up using almost two packages of cheese, and the second package that I got was the thinly sliced cheese, and I feel like that was probably a better option. After you've put on that last layer of cheese, you're going to get your melted butter, so good, and just brush it on the tops of the sandwiches. This is definitely not a step you want to skip because it just makes it just so good, and it adds moisture to it, and it just gives it a really good flavor. You would then cover it with some foil, and you're going to bake it with foil at first on top. So you pop these in the oven for about 10 minutes at 350 degrees. And then after that, you're going to remove the foil and bake it for an additional 5 minutes. These pork sliders are absolutely amazing, and we had enough for 2 days worth of dinner. They are so good. We served them up with some French fries and some corn. I want to thank you so much for joining me for today's video. I hope you got some ideas for dinner for your family. Enjoy. Bon appetit. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.